What's up? It's Damien and I'm back. And so today, simply not to hold you, I just want to talk about a topic of do you hate your children or do you love your children? I know it's probably a silly question, but what I mean by that is that often in times when we are raising our children, going about living life as parents, we pretty much want to love our children the best way that we can. And so there's a lot of things that we do in life that have, um, like, I guess, kind of set us up to want to give our children more. So maybe it's that you didn't have a lot when you were young. Maybe it's that you felt like your parents were too hard on you. You felt like a lot of the things that you have came up with, um, or the ways that you have grown up with in life, you just wanted to reverse a lot of those things and make sure that your kids never had to struggle or never have to struggle. So one of the things that we fall into is disabling our kids, and a lot of the times the love that you are putting out sometimes can in the long run kind of feel like hate. And the reason I say that is because sometimes we do so much for our children, we never let our children like learn to grow and be adults. So a lot of the times of what I tell people is that you have to remember, that in life we are not raising children, we are raising adults. And so for the most part, your child will probably be, up to 18. You got 18 years to try to deal with your kids and parent your kids. I know it goes a lot longer than that, but for the most part, you have the 18 years that typically a child is in your home. And so you have to do whatever you can do to train your child to be an adult. And Lord willing, your children will be adults longer than they would be kids. And so, like I said, you got those first 18 years, and then everybody's roughly about 70 to 70 something years on this earth. And then some people live longer. So, most of your life will be spent as an adult. So, while we have our children with us, we have to make sure that we are training them up to do things as adults would do. Because, like, we never know how life is going to be for us. And, yeah, I think, as we go through and navigate through life, there's a lot of things that, as an adult, I feel like I had to learn as an adult and I wish that, possibly my parents that I had the parental guidance to learn a lot of those things as a child. And I did learn a lot of things or whatever, but, that kind of falls in line with something that my father taught me. And my father always taught me, he would always say, the more you help a person, the more you hurt them. And I never really understood what that meant until I got older. And so just imagine that there's a friend of yours or somebody that you know who is always wanting to borrow money. They get in a pinch and they come to you, and it's like time and time again, they owe you and owe you and owe you or whatnot. Um, and you are always there every time they fall. One thing, they will never learn how to get out of that situation. Every time they get out of that situation, they continue to come to you. And a lot of those habits have been learned because maybe there was a parent who was always there with them. So a lot of times as you become an adult, you start to shift to those kind of ways, and you start to, instead of your parents who maybe not, they may not be here any longer or whatnot, and you they have done so much for you leading up to this point that now the only thing that you can resort to do is asking somebody else. And so yeah, in doing that, you never really learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. And so yeah, I think, sometimes we fail our children, and like I said, our intent is to love, but sometimes it can feel like hate because as we pass on from this life, everybody's going to pass on from this life. And as we pass on from this life, it's like, what are we leaving our children with? Are we leaving our children with just a hard life of having to learn everything that we should have taught them? Or are we teaching them to be able to stand on their own? goes back to that question or whatever, do you love or do you hate your child? If you think about it, half of the things or everything that you've been through in life has really shaped you into the person that you are. And if you don't allow your children to be able to walk through things on their own, they will never learn that muscle memory of fighting. And I think it's bad because even in today's generation, there's so many children and so many people who like don't even know how to fight for real. You know, you don't know how to struggle through a lot of stuff, and that goes into a whole nother thing to where I know sometimes in the barbershop we talking about like basketball and college sports or whatnot, and the kids are getting these big deals and stuff. Hats off to them getting the big deals or whatnot, but sometimes the way that things are set up with the transfer portals and all of this type of stuff, it is somewhat enabling children and these kids not to have to fight through. So sometimes, you might come onto a team as a freshman. What we kind of learn is that you have to wait your turn, you have to fight, and even if you're not waiting your turn, it just means that you was just great at what you did. And so I think we kind of lose that aspect in today's time. And then, like I said, it ties into um, what I was saying as far as like us not allowing our kids to be able to fight through things. So, yeah, as you go through your day and life of parenting your child, keep in perspective. Um, I know as a parent, you want to love them, and as a child, they want you to do things for them. But I think we have to push back against both of those things. Um, we have to teach our children to be independent. We have to teach our children to get out here and do more. And I think a lot of it too. I also, as we talk and have had conversations in the shop. Um, I think one of the things for especially single mothers, they have a tendency, and I think it works in reverse, the father and the mother. But for single mothers, a lot of times, or mothers just raising their children, um, a lot of times have the leniency on the men that they're raising, and then they get real tough on the women. And the thing is that I think sometimes women have learned to do so many tasks or whatnot, cooking, working jobs, just, doing a whole bunch of the stuff, cleaning up. A mother will a lot of times teach a daughter to be like her and then teach a son to just kind of lay back and the daughter to do a lot for the man. And then sometimes even with a father, it's the reverse is true. So sometimes the father may take it tough on the son, but then kind of be lenient on the daughter or whatnot. And so yeah, like I said, all of this is running to a whole nother thing. But for the most part, I'm just saying, like, as you are parenting, keep in mind the way to help your children is to, just push them. Don't just give them everything in life. I know you want to. I know you feel like, hey, you just had to struggle so much. You had to do so much in your own life, and you don't want your kids to have to struggle through that. But you rob them of the perseverance. You rob them of being able to see the victories when they accomplish things. So even if you have it to give to your children financially or anything, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is, um, like stop just putting things in your children's hands, because the goal is to raise adults, and the longer you keep your children, let them have fun, let them do all of those types of things, but and just responsibility wise, the longer you keep them as children, you'll have them for children for the rest of your life. You'll always have to jump in and just do everything for your children. And so there's nothing wrong with helping your children, but you have to know each child is individual, and you have to know how much you can do, how much that you don't need to do for each child. And so, yeah, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and just kind of shoot that nugget out. So if you have any thoughts, anything you feel like I kind of left out or anything, leave a comment down in the comment section. And yeah, like, just I guess if you want to share some stuff that maybe you have struggled with as far as your children or whatnot, and as far as raising your children and stuff. And does anything that I say, does it kind of resonate with you, or do you feel the opposite? I think that's just the way I feel. And yeah, that's it. I'm just putting it out there. So I guess I'll catch you in the next video. Again, I'm Damien, and I'm out. Peace.